As I said to you, I'm both a parent and a professional in this. And I'm going to talk to you parent to parent. So some of you might not like it, but I drove an hour and a half to get up here, so I'm going to get it out. All right? This past year, for those of you who are big news freaks, you may have seen this. Back in May, we passed a very auspicious number. You may have saw it in the news. We passed the $1 trillion mark in student loan debt. Anybody remember hearing that or reading it? $1 trillion. It's hard to wrap your mind around that. 1,000 billion. Okay? By the way, that was in May. We're now up to 1.4 trillion. That over $1 trillion is held by between 45 to 50 million former and present college goers. Now, to understand how awesome that number is, I want you to also understand that of all of the credit card debt in this country, all of it, remember there's over 320 million Americans, and most Americans have more than one credit card in their wallet or purse. Okay? All right? It's $500 billion less than the $1.4 trillion owned by just 50 million present and former college goers. That's how much it is. How did we get there? We got there, from my humble opinion, without varnishing it or trying to make it nice for everybody, we got there through two main factors. One, ignorance. The other one, vanity. We seem to want to select or buy higher education almost in the same way that we have fun purchasing items that we like. We seem to do the same thing. Let me give you a little anecdotal story. True story. Many of you might recall that about, I guess it was 3, maybe now as many as 4, Christmases ago, the day after Christmas, the 2 days after Christmas were spring-like. It was like really weird. It was like 66, 68 degrees. Well, the two Iacovelli girls thought it would be, at that time they were in their 20s, 20-somethings. They thought it would be a great idea for Iacovelli family bonding if we went to Hamilton Station, got on the train, and went to New York City. Go see 30 Rock, watch the people skate, get a nice dinner. Nice, right? Now, many of you have heard that old saying, I'm going to bust it wide open. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Right? Heard that all the time. What's standing in front of you? An old dog. Let me show you the new trick I learned just 3 years ago when I was with my daughters. We got to New York, and boy, was it tight in there. Everybody had the same idea because it was so nice the weather, so we're like this. But did you know, gentlemen, I'm going to appeal to the men in the room. They'll understand this. When you hear the name Coors, what do you think of? I know I spell it C-O-O-R-S. And after mowing the lawn, I'd like to have a little Rocky Mountain refreshment, wouldn't you? But see, the women know. They can laugh because they know how stupid we are. Coors is actually spelled K-O-R-S. And you'd be really embarrassing a fool if you didn't put Michael in front of it. Now, to prove that the old dog can learn new tricks, did you know, because I now know this, did you know that within walking distance of 30 Rockefeller Plaza, there are at least 4 Michael Kors outlets? Did you know that? There also are at least 2 Coach outlets. And I was in, at minimum, my memory's getting a little foggy on this, but I think it was either 3 or 4, what's the name of that fancy clothing store that they like? Not Abercrombie and Fitch, the other. Banana Republic, there you go. Banana Republics. Did you know that? See, in one of them, I don't know if it was the 3rd or the 4th one, my youngest one, we like to call her Peanut, she was fascinated by a Michael Kors watch. Ladies, are you familiar with the Michael Kors watches? He is. Okay. For the most part, as far as women's watches go, they're rather large, aren't they? And my daughter is kind of built like a model. She's tall, wafy. She's got like a little thin wrist. So she comes out and she's so happy. She's so proud. Dad, look at this. What do you think? I'm stupid, but I'm not that stupid. Oh, it looks great, honey. What was I really thinking? If you had a little red nose on and clown shoes with that watch, I could have you and 15 other clowns from the Ridley Brothers coming out of a Volkswagen. That's what you look like right now. But no, I was like, oh, no, it looks great, honey. She was so proud of that thing. She bought it. Personally, I think it was about $200 or $300 overpriced. But she thought it was great. And there's no harm in that, is there? She had the money. So what's the harm? None. But the problem is, we start to take those same principles when we're picking colleges. And we start what I call name chasing. If the name is bigger and it costs more, therefore it must be a better school. Let me help you with that a little bit. Let me try to help you. Okay? I've been doing this for 37 years. All right? I had two methods with my kids. And you can do what you want. They're your kids, you do what you want with them. But if there's one thing I've tried to hold on to, that I think my generation, and I'm a little older than you people, I'm a baby boomer. Most of you in this room are probably Gen Xers. Okay? But the one thing I try to hold on to, because both baby boomers and Gen Xers fail miserably in this for the most part, is I'm a parent first. I know that all of us put this huge effort in to be the coolest and the most popular and the most liked parent. That seems to be the trend. Just watch any reality show. If I see the Kardashians one more time, I think I'm going to shoot myself. All right? Pull my brains out. All right? But unfortunately, there is a responsibility here. And one of those responsibilities when you are the parent is you're setting standards. And we're not allowing our love of the child to be manipulated so that they can kind of almost guilt us into things that really aren't a good decision. So, what's my point? My point is this. I just went for 60, 65 minutes showing you everything I could possibly do in financial aid, and all of that pales in comparison to your son or daughter's list, what they're looking for. Their list is going to dictate this more than my financial aid guruship. And if you're a smart consumer, what you're going to do is both set standards and make sure that your child is looking at an array of places. And let me give you an example. And this is hard for me. I want you to relate this the proper way. Tony, you can help me with this. For your athletic program at Lawrence High School, who would you say your chief rival is? Who do you like to play in football and beat? Who do you like to beat in basketball? Who's like the big rival?
I'd say Hopewell.
Hopewell. Okay.
Or Notre Dame. Yeah.
Or Notre Dame. Okay. You love to hate them, right? Okay. I feel the same way about Rowan. I really don't like Rowan. I'm at Stockton. There's one thing I like about Rowan, and it just happened last week. Their men's basketball team came in. We beat them. We put them back on the bus. Thank you. Nice competition. Come back again. Anytime you want to get your ass kicked. Come on. But in all honesty, I have to say this to you. I'm in admissions. I'm all over the state. I ask people where they're going. What are they looking for? And all the time, when somebody says to me, yeah, I'm looking at colleges. I want to be an engineer. What's the next natural question for me? What do you think? Where are you going? What are you looking at? I always hear Lehigh. I always hear Rensselaer. I always hear Bucknell. I always hear Drexel. I very rarely hear someone say to me, Rowan. It's happened, but not that much. And all those other schools that I just mentioned are between $55,000 and $65,000 a year. And Rowan's sitting there, and it's about $24,000, $25,000 a year. And in the trade journal that I saw about a year ago, they were rated in the top 10 for electrical engineering. They're right there with Georgia Tech, Purdue. So, okay. Give me another example. Mom, Dad, I'm interested in marine biology. Really? If you're interested in marine biology and you don't have Stockton on the list, you stupid is right. You are stupid. Because I'll defy you to find another program on the, repeat this, on the undergraduate level that is as good as ours. Because I've looked. I know 4 or 5 that are very good on the graduate level, excellent on the graduate level. On the undergraduate, other than Florida Atlantic, I got no peers. Other than them, I got none. Why am I bringing those up as examples? Because they're just a few examples of pockets of excellence that when you do your homework, you find it. And then what does that homework do for you? A very, very important thing. When your children have a list of 4 or 5 top schools, you want them to go through the entire process. I hate when people dismiss a school because of its price in September and October. I hate that. Stay with it. What I equally hate is the parent who allows the child to get emotionally attached to a college before we even know we can afford it. That's equally as bad. And that's just as much on us as it is on them, if you're not setting standards. Okay? That's all I'm trying to tell you. Just trying to give you some good advice. And I'll end with this and shut up and see if you have any questions. I had 2 methods. One was the Iacovelli method. You might find this a little too draconian. And then 2, another one I'll show you, which I got from the editors of the Wall Street Journal. In my household, here's what I told my 3 kids. And understand, 2 of the 3 decided to go to very high-priced schools. You know? Real high-priced schools. But I said to them, you can go anywhere you want, but we will not borrow outside of Tier 1 loans. Everybody hear that? If you were listening to my thing, Tier 1 meant the Federal Direct and the Perkins. That's it. No alternative loans. No NJ Class, no Plus, nothing from a bank. That's it. If you do the math, what I was basically telling was you can go anywhere you want, but you're not borrowing more than $22,000 a year is what we were really telling them, right? And they understood that Dad was so intense and so serious about it that I'll pull their little butts out even in the junior or the beginning of the senior year if they couldn't do it. So they understood how serious Dad was with it. Now again, that might be too draconian for you. I don't know. I liked it because all 3 got out with less than 20 grand over their head. 22 grand over there. This past fall, the editors of Wall Street Journal came up with a different one. I like this one, so I use it as well. Find out what your son or daughter is interested in. We'll use engineering and teaching as 2 examples. You're pretty sure your child wants to go into an engineering school. If you look at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it tells you that the average starting salary in the first year of being an engineer is somewhere between $60,000 and $65,000. So the editor of the Wall Street Journal was saying you shouldn't be borrowing over a 4-year period more than $60,000 to $65,000. Your child comes to you and says they want to be in education. We know that from U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average starting salary across the country for teachers is right around $35,000. You should not let your child borrow more than $35,000 to go to school. Follow me? So now, I've done my homework, I've got a list of 4 or 5 schools, and I'm staying with the process all the way through. I haven't fallen in love with one yet, and I haven't dismissed anybody yet. And now, financial aid comes through, and now we can have a serious talk. You know what, honey? I really wanted you to go to that school too. I think it'd be a great choice for you. But if you go there, we literally have to borrow somewhere between $35,000 to $40,000 a year. I don't think that's right. Oh, Mom, I hate you. Oh, I can't believe you're doing this to me. It's so embarrassing. Jimmy's father's letting him do everything he wants. What's wrong with you? Oh, I hate you. You're going to make a choice. You're going to say, sorry, honey, but that's the way it is. Or you're going to look at each other and say, oh, we'll make it happen. I don't want her to cry. And then you become a statistic. I have hundreds and hundreds of students in New Jersey alone who graduate every year who have $80,000 to $120,000 of debt over their head, and all they have in their little tiny hands is a baccalaureate degree. They're not a doctor. They're not a lawyer. They're not a dentist. And they didn't go one of the fancy schmancy MBA schools in the world. They just have a baccalaureate degree. And they now have more, double, what your first mortgage was. And if you think that's not affecting their little 20-something lives, you're crazy. I'm in college. I've seen it already. I'm actually seeing serious relationships of people in their 20s and early 30s breaking up because one of them has $130,000 of debt on, the other one has 20. That's how bad it's gotten, let alone delaying things like marriage and everything else. So if you think that debt's not something, it is. So I just wanted to leave that with you. I'm not trying to pressure on it. I'm just trying to parent to give you some advice. If that high-priced school is for your kid, God bless you, go. As long as you're not getting yourself in really serious debt. And if you are, you have to be strong enough and be a smart enough consumer to find the proper alternatives that are out there, and they are.